Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP, Nick's in attendance with me as usual, because today we're going to be going through our review of the 25th of February edition of NXT. So how about we just break things down and we cover everything that happened across the night, starting with the opening contest of the show. We would have a Women's NXT North American Championship match that featured Stephanie Vaquer putting her title on the line against the challenger, Carmen Petrovic. This would be a match that I don't think we've had before in NXT, so possibly a first-time contest here as far as I can remember. So a nice opportunity to see a different type of matchup here between these two women. Carmen winning that triple threat match last week on NXT. This is her opportunity to win the title off of Stephanie Vaquer, which is quite the challenge. It didn't quite go her way in the end. After a pretty resilient contest from Carmen Petrovic, it would be Stephanie Vaquer that would eventually get the victory in our opening match of the night. One of the biggest talking points of this one, not to like shade over the match itself, because it was a pretty decent match, and it was a nice opportunity to see a bit more of Carmen Petrovic in a bigger sort of like stakes contest. But what happened after the match was, I think, what most people are taking from this entire situation. Because after the match would end and Stephanie would be holding her title up proudly in the ring, we would have the NXT Women's Champion, Julia, make her way down to approach Stephanie Vaquer. We've seen a slight moment between these two at the previous NXT Premium Live event, Vengeance Day, but we weren't too sure if they were actually really going to go down a route between Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. It turns out they absolutely are, though, because once Julia would get into the ring and would square up to Stephanie, the two would have a little bit of conversation in the ring, and eventually a match would be made between the two of them, which is going to be a champion versus champion match. So it's going to be title versus title, which means the winner of this one takes home both championships. As far as I'm aware, this isn't a unification match, so that I wouldn't worry about losing a title. Like, for example, they're not going to get rid of the Women's NXT Championship. So I don't think they're going to be getting rid of the Women's North American title. I have a feeling it's just going to be a case of, the winner holds both championships until eventually they find a way to separate them somehow. I'm not entirely sure why they're going down this route so early. It is a very high stakes profile matchup between Stephanie and Julia. I think maybe they could have had, I don't know, maybe Steph be screwed out of the Women's North American title match, I don't know, and then maybe just gone on to challenge Julia herself. But hey, that's a conversation for another day. The match sounds insane, though. What I will say is I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to be incredible. But maybe I'm just a little bit confused as to why we're going down that route so soon. And especially we haven't had, her as a champion for very long. Literally her first defense was against Carmen Petrovic. So, yeah, it's quite interesting for sure. But either way, massive match built. Exciting stuff. We would then go on to our next contest of the night, which would be a... I can't be even saying this right now. It was a X Division Championship match, which would be put on the line by Moose, the X Division champion from TNA. He would defend against Lexis King. This come after a backstage segment last week, and Lexis King would give it his all. He would try his hardest. There's actually be a very close near fall for Lexis King towards the end of the contest. He'd hit the coronation. He'd get a 2 count. Moose would kick out. He'd go for the coronation again, and that was when Moose would turn things around, would lay out Lexis King, and would get the 1-2-3, defending his championship successfully. Obafemi would come down to the ring very shortly after the match ended, and he would challenge Moose to a match at Roadblock for the NXT Championship. So it's so far in this NXT, we've had NXT TNA crossover and title versus title. I mean, what more could happen on this wonderful night? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit coming up in just a second. But Moose going 1-1 with Obafemi, that's a massive match. 2 absolute behemoths in the ring. It's going to go down, and it's going to be brutal. I'm absolutely sure it will be. But, good performance here from Lexis King. Just missing out on winning their X Division Championship. No shocks there. We would then go on to the next little bit of segment for the night, which would be Jordan Grace heading down to the ring. She would come down, talk about making the women's division the strongest that it's really been before, how she's helped the division get to that point, and shortly afterwards, she'd be interrupted by Roxanne Perez. Quite a surprise to me, because personally, I thought that Roxanne Perez was main roster at this point. I'm guessing perhaps she's not, but hey-ho, is what it is. And yeah, she's back. The two had a bit of back and forth in the ring. before Jordan Grace eventually would clock Roxy with a punch, sending her down, and the two, basically just sort of like getting to that point where, letting that animosity run wild between the two women. Seems like they're setting up for a match between Roxanne Perez and Jordan Grace. I know they did it when Roxy was the champion, but in this position now, it's very, very different, with Jordan Grace looking to work her way up through the NXT division, having just arrived. But interesting stuff for sure. Thought Roxy was main roster bound, maybe perhaps not so much just yet. We then go on to our next matchup of the night, and it would be a tag team contest between the No Quarter Catch crew and the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. This would be quite the interesting contest because, we haven't seen the Hardys in WWE for some time, and if I remember rightly, this is their very, very first appearance on NXT. So quite the welcome for these two, obviously, heroes of the wrestling tag team division, basically. So yeah, it was a great reception for them, and they did a very good job here. I don't remember the last time I saw them in a match together in WWE, but they look pretty good. They look, they look great together. Didn't really look like they missed a beat, and it was nice to see them back in action again in a WWE ring. No Quarter Cat's crew did their job. They helped put the Hardys over here as Fraxium were watching from the outside as this match took place. Axiom and Nathan Fraser, the NXT Tag Team Champions, they would eventually, after the contest, come down into the ring and would be clapping away, basically just saying how, look, that's an impressive win, boys. Obviously, we're the best tag team here in NXT. You're the best tag team in TNA. How about we do this properly? Let's have a match between the four of us. We would then hear the glorious music of Santino Marella echoing around the NXT arena before he would come down and he would basically say, you know what, let's make this match official. At the upcoming event, I think it's Roadblock, it's going to be Fraxium versus the Hardy Boys for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. So, can Fraxium really win the TNA World Tag Team titles? We will talk about that another day. But hey, what a match that could be. Fraxium, one of the best tag teams I think in WWE right now, possibly even the best, maybe even one of the best teams in the world right now. They've been that good. And then obviously the Hardy Boys, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. It's quite the match, and I'm really excited for that. We would then have a one-on-one match between Lola Vice and Ariana Grace. Ariana is basically the same person in the ring that she always used to be. She's not really one for confrontation. She doesn't really like to get aggressive. And she sort of showed that here in this match as well against Lola Vice. Lola, though, everyone knows that she loves a good fight, and she brought that really to Ariana Grace, dispatching her in quite dominant style in the end. But not after some, theatrics from Ariana Grace throughout the entire contest. But Lola Vice getting the win, you would expect that from this type of matchup here. Nothing really more to say about this one right here. Pretty standard contest between the two women. But gives Lola Vice some TV time, gets her back on the winning column, I suppose. Don't remember the last time we saw her in a match. And Ariana Grace, it's nice to have her back. She is quite entertaining and quite funny as far as I'm concerned. But Nick, what did you think of all these four segments then, buddy? We've got TNA NXT crossovers. We've got title versus title. Obviously, the title was on the line previous to that announcement from Julia and Steph. And then also we had the in-ring return of Ariana Grace in an NXT ring. What did you think of all of these? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely a stacked show here in Cincinnati and building up to Roadblock. I think it's safe to say it's kind of crazy that how quick they do that just in one show, basically set up the entirety of that show. And, I'm sure they'll do more still. Kicking off Carmen and Stephanie McCare. This was a good match. Unfortunately for Carmen, just wrong place, wrong time. She's not going to take that title off Stephanie in her first defense, right? That'd be a waste of what they've done so far. And, bringing her over to lose that quickly wouldn't make a ton of sense. Saying that, though, um, I think Carmen showed probably her best effort here that I've seen. And so I think that's, for whatever that's worth, in this women's division that's seemingly impossible to climb because there's so many, there's so many women who deserve to be that top spot. So for whatever it's worth, she got some time in the spotlight here. And then saying that, Vicaire obviously wouldn't lose the title here. And then having Julia then come in and then later announce that these two are going to, have a title versus title winner take all. it truly is insane. It seems like they're making that way more complicated than it needs to be. It's going to make whoever loses the title look weak in the fact that they couldn't hold the title reign. Granted, it's these two you know top stars in the division, but it just feels like they probably could have done that in a better way. And then once you get the title, both titles on one of those women, then you have to try to figure out a way to get it off of them. And you assuming you want to do that before stand and deliver. So yeah, yeah, that definitely seems like they didn't need to do that. I think they obviously want this match between Julie and Stephanie to care, but it just feels like you're maybe making that a little too complicated. Um, then we have the Moose and Lexus King match. Kind of same thing I said about Carmen. I think this was probably Lexus King best match that I can recall. He almost went against his heel nature. I feel like a little bit in this match, because of him being in his hometown. He kind of had that baby face thing going, and I think it worked. I think obviously probably just a one-time thing because of the situation. Obviously, the spotlight was more so on Moose and showing what he can do in the WWE NXT spotlight. And from what I saw, I have no complaints. Obviously, as much as I hate this phrase, it's overuse, is he's very agile for his size. So him and Oba will obviously be an incredible match, and can't wait to see that and how that unfolds. They announced later that that one would be for the NXT Championship, so um, can't imagine Moose winning that one, but regardless, it should be an entertaining match in itself. There was also a bit here where Sean Spears talks about all of his new faction that I still don't think has been named yet. But he goes into depth about how his family is going to be the one taking over, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're kind of building that up through those vignettes. Um, I think as soon as they get him a name, I think we'll be heading in the right direction. Then we have the Jordan Gray's promo, and as you mentioned, I too was surprised to see Roxy back. I guess she's not quite done, and so I kind of had a thought about that one, thinking, why is she coming back? I guess to in my eyes at least, it would make sense if we do a Roxy Jordan bit and then have Jordan come out on top as Roxy officially moves on for good. I think Jordan probably should have won that first match personally. So I think if this is the last hurrah, I think that's great to put over Jordan in that regard. As for Jordan's promo, I wasn't a huge fan. I just feel like um, if we're gonna call her the Juggernaut, I don't feel like she should be a happy-go-lucky babyface. And maybe that comes down the road, but yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me personally. With the name Juggernaut, especially, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. But I love the ending, and I feel like the ending of that promo was better served. Everyone has a plan until and then proceeds to punch Roxy in the mouth. So I think that works for her better. I think she should let her face do the talking. I think that's kind of character she would thrive best in. And then we also had a couple of different segments with Jordan, or excuse me, Jada and Kalani. I think that they're building that one up to be quite personal. And the only issue with that feud is I don't know who you have come out on top, because they're both thriving quite well, in my opinion. In QCC and the Hardy Boys, or as Santina Morella calls them, the Hard Boys. Um, yeah, that was a great. It was great to see them. Whether it be nostalgia or not, it's great to see them back in the ring. I always worry slightly because just how they're still doing this and how they're not getting injured, or maybe they do. I don't know, but it didn't. Yeah, as you mentioned, it didn't feel like they missed a beat, and yeah, and set that one up to go up against Fraxium, and you know what can go wrong there? The team, in my opinion, the best tag team in WWE right now is Fraxium going up against what used to be the best team in Hardy Boys. I know we could debate that one as well. But yeah, for that one for the TNA championships at Roadblock as well. Lola Vice, yeah, not much else to say that you hadn't already mentioned. Up going up against Ariana Grace. I love the bit between Ariana and Santino. I think those are highly entertaining. I think I like Ariana in the ring. I think when she has the ability to do what she does and with the character work, um, I think similar to like a Chelsea Green, I think she could. The sky's definitely the limit for her as well. And I hadn't seen Lola in quite a while, so I guess it was good to see her back in the ring as well. But yeah, wow, tons of talking points. And NXT is certainly thriving at the moment, doing a good job of pushing along all these stories. And I think it's safe to say the TNA NXT partnership is in full swing at this point.
Yeah, 100% in full swing, and it's looking pretty nice as well. Not gonna lie, they're doing a pretty decent job of just like going about merging everything together here. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Ultimately, it can only be beneficial in the long run. TNA, guys getting exposure on WWE, and WWE guys getting to work with different people. We got some WWE guys going to TNA as well, helping them out over there, which is it's just great. I think the blend is really really beneficial for both parties, and it just has ultimately just way more pros than cons, which is just great. It's quite refreshing as well. Seeing new people coming down, I like it. I ain't got a problem with that. It's pretty good to be fair. But that wouldn't be all the action for the night. We did have some other things still to come. As we just mentioned there with the crossover stuff, we also had a main event of the night. We had Ricky Saints and Javon Evans going up against Wesley and Ethan Page. That would be our main event of the evening, that tag team contest between the four men. And it would be Ricky Saints' debut here in NXT. He did very, 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 very well. He looked great in that ring. I think when it comes down to the match itself, it was a cracking main event. I thought it worked out very, very well. Ethan Page and Javon Evans, their rivalry is still very, very heated, full of animosity. And they didn't really sort of like let go of that. They had a brawl outside of the ring, and they literally abandoned the match, leaving literally just Wesley and Ricky Saints to battle out between the two of them to end the contest. And it would be Ricky in the end that would get that victory. He would pin Wesley in the middle of the ring, and he looked damn good doing it as well. Yeah, a solid debut from Ricky. Just fits like a glove by the looks of things. Seemed to have great chemistry with the other guys in the ring as well. Working with them in his first contest, and yeah, the guy looked like a star. He was tremendous. The way he moved around the ring, just utterly brilliant. Like his agility was tremendous, and yeah, just showcase basically everything that he needed to when it comes to being a star here in NXT. His presentation was great with his entrance. He got the classic Death Rebel introduction with a little catchphrase at the start and then into a generic theme. Uh, I wish we could change that, but hey ho, that's discussion for another time maybe. But yeah, he's doing everything right. That's ultimately what I need to say from this one. He looked great out there and got a win on his debut, which I think everybody pretty much expected. It was a good main event and a good way to end the show. But yeah, I mean, I know we've mentioned all of the crossovers, that took place throughout the night. I think we can just highlight that quickly about the importance of this TNA NXT partnership that we're going to be getting and what it can mean for everybody involved. But also, yeah, that title versus title is very interesting. I know we both mentioned that a little bit earlier on. It is quite fascinating to see this match take place so soon, and for both championships on the line is wild as well. I think ultimately, whoever wins this contest, um, is just being shot straight to the moon. I don't blame them. The women deserve it. We have had the NXT Men's Championship and the NXT North American Championship held at the same time in the past. That was by somebody who's no longer with WWE over on a different promotion. But yeah, we haven't done it with the women's before. This seems like that could be what they're going down, and that's the route they're going to be taking here and now. But yeah, a great episode of NXT here. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But what did you think about that main event, Nick? What did you think about Ricky Saints' debut?
Yeah, I think the main event served basically two purposes. I think one was to continue the Devon Evans Ethan Page feud, and then the other was obviously to show, hey, this is Ricky Saints. This is what he can do in the ring. The crowd was really hot for Ricky, and even when he wasn't wrestling, was chanting his name before he got that hot tag. So yeah, I think it served its purpose. Four incredible guys in the ring, and yeah, it's crazy to think that Wesley was the one that took the pin on that one. Um, It's crazy. I think they're doing a good job of building up that men's division, as it's not quite to the counterpart, but they're working on it, and I think him coming in here is a great addition. And yeah, just the fact that all of these people in here were at TNA, a year ago, or still with TNA, and now all of this is possible is truly incredible. Um, we have Jordan Grace in WWE now, probably because of this partnership. So yeah, it's great to see. And the roadblock is just, it feels like that should be the stand and deliver card because there's just so much going on and so many big matches. But yeah, it's just roadblock. So, uh, and Vicaire and Julia, I probably put too much effort into thinking why they would do this, and I guess just the main reason being because I argued with myself thinking, well, why not give it to some other, at least one of them, probably the NXT North American, give that to someone else who's knocking on the door, or Jordan Grace even. Like if the care were to lose to Jordan Grace, no one would bat an eye, but maybe just too soon for that, I guess. Is my only kind of logic to that. And then with this way, if whoever is to win is, I'm assuming it's Julia, but if she does win, then I guess that's a way to still keep the care strong. I guess would probably be my only logic to that. But yeah, incredible NXT. Um, so much packed into so little time. It truly is incredible. But yeah, I don't see how you can give the show anything other than a high 9 or 10. I, of course, am always generous, so I feel like this show deserves a 10.
Yeah, I mean, my rating basically just sums up essentially what you just gone through there. It really was a stat show. It's got me really hyped for, going forward for NXT. Seems to be something that's just so consistent in WWE nowadays. NXT being the brand that everyone's really taken note of, and yeah, just basically is always showing up and showing out. But I gave this one a 9 out of 10. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was tremendous throughout throughout the entirety from start to finish. It was brilliant, and yeah, some really big things going down. Maybe just confusion on my part regarding the women's title versus title situation, but besides that, nah, completely loving the NXT product right now, and it's fantastic. But guys, let us know what you thought. If you thought this was a really good episode of NXT as well, like we did, let us know in the comments and let us know what you thought and maybe they could have done a little bit better. Maybe perhaps you would have changed. Regarding if you guys like the video, please hit a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We're always looking for some good feedback here. And yeah, we will see you all in the next one. We've got Elimination Chamber predictions that'll be coming out very, very soon. And yeah, we're looking forward to basically just showcasing our theories and stuff regarding that one. But for now, we will see you all in the next one because this has been The Push with Nick and KP, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you and goodbye.